Chances are somewhere in your attic or your basement is a collection of things that remind you of some of your past accomplishments. There are a lot of things we use to honor people for what they've done. There are trophies, ribbons, badges, hats, even belts. But the truth is, a lot of us don't even know where this stuff is anymore. It's put away in a place where we rarely see it, untouched, collecting dust, or maybe it's even thrown away. What was important to us at one time because it was a symbol of honor has somehow lost its value over time. Don't misunderstand, I'm not suggesting it's wrong to honor someone for what they've accomplished. I actually think it's an important part of celebrating what happens in life. But I also think honor has a deeper meaning. People should not just be honored because of what they've done, they should primarily be honored because of who they are. Your stuff may lose value over time, but not people. The basis of honor is seeing people the way God sees people. I mean, you are naturally wired to put yourself first, but honor is the opposite of self-centeredness. It's something that flows from your relationship with God. People start showing honor when they understand those around them were created by God and in the image of God. In a sense, one of the best ways we can honor God is by honoring those who reflect the image of God. That's why it makes sense to ask kids to memorize Romans 12:10. It says, "Love each other deeply. Honor others more than yourselves." When someone understands the principle of honor, it changes the way they treat everyone. They tend to see people that are typically overlooked by society with a different kind of value. They tend to see those who are in authority with a different kind of respect, and they tend to see their peers with a different kind of appreciation. One place you can go as a leader or parent to help kids understand the concept of honor is the life of David. There's some powerful lessons about honor that show up in David's story. Part 1 of the story starts when God sent Samuel to Jesse's house to find a new king for Israel. Jesse lined up his oldest, strongest, and most handsome sons as candidates, but God passed over them and reminded the prophet to look at the heart. That day, David, the youngest and smallest of Jesse's sons, was anointed king. He was the most unlikely person to be honored, so be careful that you always try to see people, even those that seem unimportant, the way God sees them. Then in the second week, we're going to look at David's relationship with Jonathan. You remember Jonathan? He was next in line for the throne. He could have been jealous of David's military victories and his growing popularity. He could have fought for what was rightfully his, but he didn't. There's this famous scene where Jonathan, in an ultimate act of honor and loyalty, gives David his robe, his sword, and his bow. Why? Because sometimes the most honorable act involves putting someone else ahead of yourself. The idea of honor also affects the way we see those who are in charge. It's logical to believe that we should not only value those who God made, but also those who God put in charge. So in week 3, we want to talk about the crisis that happened in David's life when Absalom, his own son, started a rebellion and tried to take over as king. When Absalom failed to honor his father, it affected an entire kingdom and resulted in tragedy. We'll wrap up this month with the story of the Ark of the Covenant coming back into Jerusalem and how David danced and celebrated. As a matter of fact, it's obvious when you read the Psalms, one of the things that marks David's life is that he was consumed with honoring God. The secret to showing honor to others is to understand that it begins with honoring God. So as leaders and parents, if you want to invite your kids into a better story, invite them into a story where they learn to show honor to those around them. Honor notices those who aren't being noticed. Honor puts others ahead of yourself. Honor shows respect to those who are in charge. Honor is ultimately based on how you view and respect God. Years ago, I overheard a restaurant owner training his staff, and he was reminding the hosts and servers how he wanted them to treat the people who showed up. He said something interesting. He said, every time someone walks into this door, I want you to imagine they are wearing a sign that says, "Please make me feel like I am worth something." He gave his staff a mental picture of their responsibility to make every person feel valued. What would happen if we simply took the advice of that restaurant owner? What if we began to teach children to look at the people around them as if they really believed those people have been made by God? As if each person really were wearing an invisible sign that said, "Show me that I'm worth something." As Christian leaders, we have this great opportunity to raise a generation of Christians who look at this world and attach value to other people simply because they are created by God.